Welcome to Canvas of the Heart, presented by Free Arts for Abused Children of Arizona. The mission of Free Arts is to transform children's trauma to resilience through the arts. This show is a collection of conversations that spotlight the ways Free Arts creates hope for children and teens who've experienced abuse, neglect, or homelessness. We hope you find this show to be informative, inspiring, and fun.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Canvas of the Heart podcast. I'm Jenna, and I am joined here by three lovely people who are here to help us talk about a very important component of our work here at Free Arts. It's all over our shirts, it's all on our walls, it's a part of our mission, and it is the Art plus Mentors equals resilience equation. That is our philosophy and our foundation for our work here. And one of those components is the volunteer mentors, that mentorship. So I am joined here by three individuals who are going to talk with us about volunteering and the experience. And let's see, you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm TJ Geist, and I am the volunteer manager.
Hi.
I'm Corinne Phillips. I'm the volunteer coordinator.
Hi, I'm Tennille Choi, a development officer and also volunteer mentor.
All right. I am so happy to be with the three of you here today to talk about this. So, like I mentioned, our volunteer work here is very critical to the success of all of our programs. And so we want to be able to give a shout out to all of you doing that wonderful work with bringing in our volunteers, and then to gain an understanding of what that means. And so, we could kick it off to both you, TJ and Corinne. So what is your background and what brought you to work for Free Arts?
I have an MFA in acting, and so I started doing theater with developmentally disabled adults about 25 years ago. And so my whole career went away from the theater and into social services. I was working at a partner agency, and Free Arts came in, and I was like, ooh, they're doing something in a different way, and the kids are really responding. And so I was like, I started to find out more, and then I was like, okay, now I'm starting to plan on how I'm getting over there. And then I managed to get over here. It's really as simple as that.
Well, we're happy to have you. We're glad that you're here. And, all of the work that you do here with us and the background that you bring. Because coming from that arts background stuff, so it's really an added, a compliment, essentially, to the work that you're doing. So great for you to be here. Now, Corinne, how did you get here? I'm loving the purple, by the way.
Well, I majored in psychology and I did a minor in art. When I graduated, I was looking for something that combined the two things, and I found Free Arts. So I started with our camps as a temporary support employee. So I did part-time over the summer last year and helped out with camps, and then I ended up in this position. But, yeah.
All right. So you just couldn't get enough of us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Now, Tennille, because you are also a staff member, but you made the decision, the choice, to also be a volunteer mentor. So from the professional side, what brought you to the organization?
Well, I've been a fundraiser for the past 8-9 years, and I thought that Free Arts was just the perfect intersection of not only helping children, but also using the arts to do that and to really make a big impact in their lives. And, all the staff get trained, go through the mentor training, just like our volunteers. But for me, I really wanted to experience our programs and to be a mentor and see what that was like, and to be able to share that story with our donors and make them feel excited about supporting Free Arts and the volunteers that make our programs possible.
Yeah, that's really important, though, because we can talk about the programs all day, but unless you're actually in the program and see it and being able to witness the transformation that occurs, you're really only just tapping into the surface. So you can really speak to it from a very unique perspective. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So what exactly do our volunteers do? What are their roles? How would you describe it?
Well,
They do everything.
They do everything. So there's that wide variety that I know we've talked about in past podcasts, but we have short one-day programs. We have long 16-week mentorships. We have the camp. So in every situation, they're doing trauma-informed art activities with a group of participants who age sometimes as young as 4 all the way through 26. So they do that, and then they guide them, and they are this sort of space holding and co-regulation, empathy, and just caring adults that allow the participants to develop that resilience and see that, not develop it so much as see it. Mm-hmm. Most of our participants are really resilient. They just don't know that they are. Mm-hmm. And I think we help them, and the mentors help them see that and identify it and then use it again. That's how I would describe what they do.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we do ask a lot of our mentors in different ways. Mm-hmm. Like we, in especially the weekly mentor program, they are running their own program. They get, if they want to, they come up with their own art activities, and we have some available for them too. They can always use our resources that we have. But we've just seen volunteers go really above and beyond, and I don't know, build programs into that space of safety. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think when you have different organizations and they're thinking about volunteers, they're thinking about a lot of sometimes just that work that they kind of just need done to help their daily jobs to be a little bit easier, right? So sometimes, we have the options where you can do some work directly with our participants, or you can do work maybe in our art room or doing some other things. So we have options in case that's not exactly, up your alley.
Big shout out to the art room volunteers.
Yes.
We need them.
Right? So it's not always just about working directly with the children, but we have to admit, of course, there's some power that comes from that. So TJ, you kind of touched on it already in terms of the empathy and in terms of that resilience building, but is there anything else that anyone would want to add as to the importance of why we're using our adult mentors in this capacity, in this way? Where does the power of that come from?
Well, I think for me that's more than twofold. It's multifolded, I guess.
Hold it on up, TJ.
Yeah, that's right. It's origami. It's origami. I see that they provide respite for staff in a way that they come into a space that is often with adults who are not co-regulating well with kids because they have 10. They have 10 people. Can I this or what's, and everybody has their own things going on. And Free Arts comes in very regulated, very if you want to, you can. Do you want to do something else? So that kind of, to use the phrase woosah, that kind of woosah really permeates the space. And I think that we talk about the flow, getting into the flow a lot. And that flow, that 45 minutes of art, giving you that lowering the stress, really helps everyone with the agencies and the families that we work with. I worked at a partner agency that Tennille mentored at, actually. And so, that's how we really got to know each other. So that ability to watch how that affects people is amazing. And it affects you as an adult in the space, too.
I could imagine, yeah.
I think it's also important to point out that we purposely choose volunteers to be these mentors. We pay professional teaching artists, but the majority of the people running our programs are volunteers. And kids are smart. They know that most of the adults in their lives are being paid to take care of them. So it means something different when you can tell a kid, I'm here because I want to be, and I want to spend time with you, and that's the big reason why. I think that means a lot to a kid.
It does.
Oh yeah, as I remember my time when I worked in partner agencies, it was that constant thing, oh, being present for a paycheck. And so it's something completely different when you're making the choice. So that's an amazing point to Neil. And then it's like, it helps with that connection, that building of knowing that if there was anywhere else that I could be, I'm choosing to be here and to make this connection with you. And so it's just wonderful the way that choice just fosters so much.
Well, and we hear a lot in the first step, in the orientations, we hear people say, oh, I'm here because art healed me. So I know that art heals. And so I think everybody should know that. So I want to share that and give people that healing experience. So many times we hear that. It's amazing, to share that and to understand it and want to give that is, I think, the best gift you can give somebody is your time.
So what are the characteristics that you look for when you're doing it? Because if people come in, sometimes they're a good fit, sometimes they're not, and sometimes that means we might have to say that, or they recognize it on their own. But what are some of the things that if there's somebody out there that's wondering, is this for me, is it not for me, what are the things that you've seen across the board that you recognize are good characteristics for a volunteer mentor?
I think definitely like someone who's dependable, who can be there when they say they're going to be there. That's really, really important. Especially working with the participants that we work with, we want to make sure that we're following through on things as much as possible. But I think a lot of empathy, kindness, a interest in helping, and just being there, being able to be there without being the center of things, just being like kind of a part of something is really important. But I think really most important is like that they can have fun, that they can be silly. I think that really, like, as soon as there's like that element of silliness, it opens up like the kids, it opens up the adults, everyone's in a good mood, right? Like, we do a lot of fun in our programs. That's a big part of building safety. So I think that's important.
And I think authenticity.
Because kids know.
They know.
Oh, yeah.
They totally know. Yeah.
Yes.
And so if you just come in and you're like, I love art, I hope you love art too. And we'll work to find one together that we all can get that flow with. The participants really respond.
Oh, yeah.
I think you could also walk in and say, I'm not an artist. And the kids are like, oh, I feel that way too. And then you guys can kind of try something new together.
Yeah.
But it's coming from a place of authenticity. You don't have to be an artist or necessarily artistic to be a volunteer mentor. Just being willing to try something creative is enough, because that's kind of what we're asking the kids in our programs. Just try. Be a little brave. Try something new. We'll do it together.
I like to tell like volunteers too who are nervous about that, because sometimes they'll come in, they're like, I'm not an art person. Like, can I still volunteer? It's like, yes, please do. Because a lot of times with like, if they're watching you struggle and trying to figure something out like alongside with them, they're going to be like, whoa, like this is cool. Adults are like struggling with the same things I'm struggling with. That you actually get to model that like bravery and that learning process. And that's really important. Like the talented artists that we have, we have so many talented artists and our volunteers. They are super important too. But I think it's important to have both sides of that.
Yeah. So we've been talking about volunteering. So we have some of our listeners here that are probably like, this is good. I'm liking this. No art experience required. Totally up my alley. What is the process like? How do you get involved?
You go.
I can take this.
All right, go.
This is my cup of tea. So we start with an orientation. It's only an hour long. The idea is really to give you this space to kind of get any questions you might have asked. If you're like thinking, oh, this like might not be a good fit for me, we want you to know before you go through the whole process. So it's really just like some clear transparency, what we do, who we serve, get to know us a little bit, we get to know you, and then that space for questions. Does this work with my schedule? Is this something that I could do on weekends? Things like that. And we just kind of talk through that together. And then they do an application and they have 2 references go in. It's all done online, hopefully quick and easy, not always, but it's me fighting emails. But then once we get them through that, they go to training, and then we spend a whole day training all about everything they might need to know as a mentor. We want to teach them about the history of trauma-informed care, where that comes from, why we're like a research-based organization. And then we go really into the logistics of like, what is mentorship? What are we asking you to do? And giving them those kind of skills, the toolbox of all the things they might need to do or might need to know as a volunteer. So it's a good day. It's really important. We really want all of our volunteers to go into mentoring with this confidence that they know what to expect and feeling like they have the tools that they need. And then there's an interview after a training with one of the staff members. It's really less formal than an interview. It's kind of a conversation to really just see where they're at. We want to like make sure that if anything in training really brought some feelings up or if it was confusing, we want to make sure that they have their questions answered, that we can kind of talk through things together. We also want to see what a good placement is. We have a lot of different programs with a lot of different needs for different types of skills, different types of people. So we want to find a really good fit that would be like a good place to start at least and kind of work from there. So that's the whole process. They have to get a fingerprint clearance card. That's important. I do mention that, but we can help pay for it.
You mentioned that during that interview, that less formal interview, the discussion rather, that you talk about the programs being a good fit. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what are some of the common things that you hear when you're thinking, okay, well, you might be a good fit for this program, or if this is, something that you're interested in, this is it. How do you make that determination based upon the responses that you're getting?
Definitely, like scheduling is a big part of it. I think people get really intimidated by weekly mentor program because it's a whole semester. So it's like all spring, 8 to 16 weeks. And it's a pretty strong commitment, right? You're working with one other person. You're going every week to the same facility, same group of kids every week. So a lot of people are really interested in weekly mentor program, but they're like, I don't know, because I don't know what to expect yet. I don't know like what I'm going to feel. So I usually, with people who are in that position, I usually say start with Free Arts Days. It's a one-day event. They get a sign up. They kind of feel it out. They're not the person in charge, so they get to kind of just be there as a support, like those staff presence there, so they're not like running the show as much. But it's a good way to kind of feel things out, and it's such a fun day because they're always at these like cultural partners. They get to like see a really fun, exciting day, and then it's just one day. So if they're like, oh wow, that was too many people, they can maybe do a smaller group. We have like professional artist series that's like a smaller group. It's usually a little bit shorter period of time, so less time commitment, but a small group of kids. So you kind of just, I'll move them that way if they're like, seem to be like, oh, loud spaces, that's not for me. We'll do professional artist series instead. Because then they don't have to be in charge. The artist runs the whole thing, but they're there as a support. They're learning alongside and doing whatever the artist needs help with. Yeah.
Now, I also heard you mention that the training is a whole day. So if I'm here listening, I'm like, hey, I don't know. That's a lot of time to commit. What would you say, like, I guess in your opinion, what would you say is the importance of attending that day? What makes it worth it to be able to commit that amount of time to it?
The first thing I will say, you will be the best trained volunteer in the state of Arizona, working with children. Yeah, absolutely. I think people want to be good at volunteering. They want to really be effective. And this training makes you effective because you know a little bit, and I'm certainly not an expert in trauma, but you know some of how the kids are, what their experiences might be, and it's very broadly based. You also learn about the great ways in which the brain works and heals and how art helps do that. So for me, and then we give you tools. That's one of the other things. So we do this headier stuff, but then we turn around and go, okay, so practically speaking, here's how you put that into practice and use those things. And we even have a curriculum that they can, use if they choose. And then they, get their wings and they fly like a butterfly too, And it's an opportunity for them to be in a room with like-minded people, I think, and that they're discovering that they're part of a movement in some ways, really, that this is an approach that doesn't happen in lots of places. It's an unusual way of looking and working with the participants, and that it's research-based, as Corinne said, but it's got this heart behind it all. And so you get all of that in that day. So it's fun. It's not talking at you. There's activities, there are breaks, there's some video, so some art creating, in fun ways. So as somebody I've been here 7 months and I've attended every training because that's part of my job. I love it. And I've heard it 7 times now. So do you know what I mean? It's like, it's very exciting to me, actually.
Because even with the content being the same, every experience is different.
Every experience is different. Yes, yes. And you see people's faces light up with new knowledge and then new skill, and how you can see it all start to click.
It's clicking, right?
Like, oh, I could do that. Oh, that sounds great, So.
Well, what about you, Tennille? Because we're hearing it from the deliverers. So what about you, having sat through it and utilizing it as a volunteer mentor? What was that process like for you? The realizations that came to you when you were sitting there, and how you use that in your volunteering and your mentoring?
Yeah, I was really excited to do the training because I was really nervous about volunteering as a mentor, and I really wanted a space where I could ask questions and learn everything that I needed to know to play this role, and that's exactly what the training gave me. It also put me in a room with other people who were feeling the exact same way that I was, a little nervous, eager to ask questions, and gosh, I feel like I learned so much about how we process stress and how the things that we experience as children sticks with us maybe a lot longer than we realize. And some of those things stick a little harder than other things. I personally got a lot out of the training, just thinking about, this is what co-regulation looks like. This is what stress management looks like. This is what happens when you are freaking out and unable to process what's going on around you. And what you need is to just take a breath, step away a little bit, and calm down. And then you can, then your logical part of the brain is back in action and can help you like navigate what's going on. I feel like I learned a lot about human behavior in our training. And I mean, the things that our children go through are still things that adults go through too.
Right.
I think that there are a lot of lessons learned in that training that don't just apply to how we treat children. It's also about how we treat each other, anyone at any age. And I think TJ said it right. You will become the best social service volunteer through this training. It's just going to give you such a great perspective, and you'll be able to really meet people where they're at.
This is some powerful stuff that you're doing in this volunteer department, because that is probably the best explanation I have ever heard in regards to the impact that the training has on an individual wanting to participate in our programs. So I want to kind of shift a little bit and learn more about what your experience in our programs has been like. Can you just tell us a little bit about that? But when you're actually like boots on the ground, you're in the program, what was that like? What program did you volunteer with? And what was the process for you?
Yeah, so I have done 2 semesters as a volunteer mentor in the weekly mentor program.
You're practically a veteran.
That first semester was really nerve-wracking. It was with a group of girls. It was an all-girl facility, and they were actually living. Well, I guess both facilities had children living with them, but it was the nice thing about the weekly mentor program is that you get a buddy, so you're not doing it alone. So me and my mentor buddy came in. I was a little nervous. My partner had done one other semester in the past, and those girls were so lively. They were so excited to have us there. They were talking our ears off, and we were so happy to just listen and give them a little bit of attention. I think that was the thing that they probably enjoyed the most. Just having someone that had the time and the capacity and the energy to just sit and listen to them gab away about school, about their friends, about their pets, their hobbies, their interests. That really alleviated a lot of the nerves for me and the anxiety. I realized I don't have to do much to get these girls to like me. I think that was one of my fears. Are they going to like me? Yeah. And it doesn't, when you just show up consistently and they start to trust you and know that they can count on you to be there and hang out with them, it comes so easily. Of course, they're gonna enjoy spending time with you. And there were certainly, it wasn't all roses. There were definitely moments where girls lost their cool or became upset, and we navigated those the best we could. Me and my partner were just trying to be patient and very understanding and reassuring them that we're going to come back next week. This hasn't scared us away. Don't worry, we're here for you. We're going to come back. And I think some of the girls were afraid that after they had acted out that they had ruined it all and it was not going to be fun anymore. But we came back, acted like, no big deal, and got right back into the creative art making. And I think that really meant a lot to them. It was so sweet. I was surprised at the last session. They were saying, "I'm so sad. Can you guys keep doing this? When are you going to come back?" And I don't know why. I was shocked. I didn't think we did much. All we did was just kind of hang out for an hour once a week. But they really, really loved it and didn't want it to end, and were sad to see us go. And I was sad to see them go too. It made me want to volunteer again, absolutely. And the next semester was with a group of boys, so very different. But I was seeing a little less nervous this time, knowing that everything will work itself out. The relationships will build. We'll get to know each other. And that first session, the boys were a little more closed off in the beginning. But again, just sitting and listening and giving them attention, that's what makes you a caring adult. And they very quickly opened up, were telling us all about their lives. And we're almost like, competing with each other for our attention. And so we had to kind of like, come on, guys, we can share all of this. No need to butt heads in this way. But also, again, at that last session, they were sad to see us go. And again, I'm just so surprised. I feel like I didn't really do much. Even committing that 1 hour, it becomes a lot easier over time. Becomes a part of your routine, and it's over in a flash. It's crazy. And just a little bit of effort on my part just meant the world to them. There was they were different personalities from the beginning to the end. They really liked us. They loved telling us about what was going on with them, and maybe even confiding a little bit about what they were worried about or stressed about through their art. I got a lot of poetry that maybe they didn't want to share out loud, but were brave enough to trust me and my partner to read it just silently ourselves. And that was really special, that they trusted us like that. I feel like that's it in a nutshell. It really is easy. You think 16 weeks or 8 weeks is a long time, but it does become a part of your routine so quickly, and it's a joy. you want to keep doing more.
Yeah. That is a wonderful account, Tennille. And you really touched on not just how it was transformational for you, but for the children as well. How you didn't think you did much, you said. And something else that you mentioned about just constantly showing up and reassuring them that, hey, you're coming back. You said you'd come back, you're coming back. That goes right back to the dependability that you were talking about, Corinne. And that's why it's so important that's one of the characteristics that we're looking for, because we know behaviors, they can drive people away, and when that's been the pattern in someone's life, they don't really know whether or not that's going to be that final straw. But we keep coming back, we keep going, and the transformation just continues to happen.
There's also the difference with like a one-on-one mentorship is that they grow with each other. I call it the quilting bee effect, because they're creating art together, but then they're talking, and there's adults creating art with them. Nobody's like, yes, yes. It's not like this bit. It's just you're just doing and talking.
It's just organic.
Yeah. And that things come up and get sort of processed, and it's just so easy. But that activity and then the calmness that it provides, and then you can just chat. It has that sort of like community social aspect that I think is sort of easy group therapy in a way.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to watch it happen. Oh, I understand from your poem. Oh, I'm going to use that. Oh, yeah, I felt that way too. That's a good and they heal each other during it. It's really interesting.
I think a lot of volunteers come in kind of thinking that, like, oh, I have to be a therapist. And like, that's not what you have to do. No. We actually have to tell the therapists who volunteer with us, like, take off your therapy hat.
That's not the space.
That's not what we're doing. We're just being present. And when, it's great when things are getting processed. And like when that healing is happening, we're really just showing up, and we're showing them that we can have fun and have a safe space together. And that is healing.
And it can be therapeutic without being therapy.
Right.
And so
you have the effect. Right. Without all the clinically stuff. That's perfect. Right. Now, for any of our listeners or viewers, depending on if they're watching, if there weren't enough reasons already stated as to why they should become a volunteer mentor, if you had to sum it up, give your top 1, 2, 3, if you have it, reasons as to why somebody should sign up, go through our training, start volunteering with all of our participants. What would you say? What would be your reasons?
I would say you are needed. The young people of Arizona need you. And if you want to feel like you're making an impact, and know that you're needed and you're bringing joy, because the biggest thing that the volunteers do is bring joy. And so I think that for me those are the reasons. Those are the most. You are needed and you are valued. It's that hard time saying goodbye. That shows value. So,
yeah.
Same?
Yeah, I think it definitely, there's the possibility of changing lives. And every time that you come to one of our programs, any of our programs, I think it really affects the way that, kids can see adults around them. It really changes things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think every adult can think of that one person when they were growing up who just really changed things for them, maybe encouraged them in a way that made them dream big and pursue big things, or that was a shoulder to cry on and made them feel just a little bit better enough to make it through another day, another week. I think that there's also a lot of personal healing that happens when you become a volunteer mentor with Free Arts. I know it's not supposed to be about that. Definitely not. It does happen. Like outside of the program, I know that I personally have gotten a lot out of this experience. It makes me look at the people in my life differently, like how I interact with them. I think a lot more about empathy and patience nowadays, and I think I've become a stronger listener. There's this experience too, like all of those little interpersonal skills and tools that you're practicing with children who are extra sensitive because of the really hard things they've gone through applies to everybody else too. I think everybody else has a little sensitive kid inside of them that could use maybe a little extra empathy, a little extra patience, an ear to listen to them a bit. I think it's made me just a better friend and maybe a better confidant overall.
That is absolutely wonderful. I just want to say a final just thank you. TJ, Corinne, Tennille, thank you so much. One, for the work that you're all doing at Free Arts, but then also bring everything that you brought to the space, your experiences, your perceptions, your realizations. So to all of our listeners out there, please go ahead, check us out on our website. You can sign up, and the way I see it, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody. Bring your friend. Come through the training together. Be mentors together. That's what it's all about, is creating that community. Absolutely. So thank you once again to all three of you for being guests on the show today. And to our listeners, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Canvas of the Heart. We'd love to hear your questions and feedback by email at hello@freeartsaz.org. You can find more information about Free Arts by visiting our website at freeartsaz.org. We'd like to thank the many individual and corporate donors and the hundreds of volunteers that make Free Arts programs possible. Take care, and we will talk to you soon.